6:30 p.m. We are going to call to order the adjourned regular meeting of the City Council. Today is October 21st. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and may I please have a roll call?
Yes. Councilmember Wallet.
Present.
Councilmember Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Kalijadovich. Here. Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Mayor Light's absent tonight, and Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Here. We're going to skip the salute to the flag. Blue folder items. Do we have any blue folder items for closed session?
No blue folder items for closed session.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on closed session or non-agenda items?
We do not have anyone on Zoom, and there are no e-comments for closed session.
All right, nobody in attendance either. Okay, would you please read the items that will be discussed in closed session?
Yes, as authorized by the government code is listed on the published agenda. The following items will be discussed in closed session. Item F1, conference with real property negotiator. The property is 123 International Boardwalk, a portion of APN 7505-002-908. Item F2, conference with legal counsel and labor negotiator. The employee organizations are the Redondo Beach Police Officers Association, Redondo Beach Police Management Unit, and Redondo Beach Firefighters Association. Item F3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated potential litigation. There's one potential case. And for items F4 and F5, they're under the title conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. For F4, the name of the case is New Community DTLA LLC and Leonid Postonikov versus City of Redondo Beach and City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, case number B336042. And for item F5, the name of the case is New Community TLA LLC and City of Redondo Beach, City Council of the City of Redondo Beach, City of Redondo Beach Department of Community Development et al. Case number B337897. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, who will be joining us in closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. For all matters, myself, City Attorney Joy Ford, and Assistant City Attorney Cheryl Park. For item F1, we will have Greg Kapovich, our Waterfront and Economic Development Director, along with our outside consultants, Larry Cosmont and Will Solholt. For item F2, we will have our lead labor negotiator, Laura Calty, and we will be joined by Diane Strickfadden, our Human Resources Director, as well as Jane Chung, our Assistant to the City Manager. For item F3, we will have outside legal counsel Livia Borak Bowden. And then for items F4 and F5, we will be joined by Peter Pierce and Diana Verrett, both outside legal counsel.
All right. Motion to recess to closed session.
Move to recess to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed.
Were you making
Reconvening to open session from closed session. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Waller, absent. Councilmember Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Kalut-Jedovich.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Mayor Light is absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Here. City Manager, any announcements from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Two this evening. We had Andrew Perez from Cosmont and Associates join us for item F1, and Mark Weiner, our Community Development Director, joined us for items F4 and F5.
All right. We're going to go ahead and adjourn to the regular meeting. I move to adjourn. In fact,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. All right, with that, I'm calling to order the regular meeting of the City Council at 6:16 p.m. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Waller, absent. Councilmember Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Kalut-Jedovich.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Mayor Light, absent. Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Here. All right. If we have any veterans or active duty military in the audience, we'd ask that you please stand and be recognized for your service. All right, seeing none. Okay, we're going to go ahead and stand for the salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. And with that, I'd like to invite up Kieran. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Kieran. I'm an 8th grader at Adams Middle School. My favorite subject in school is science, and I love playing volleyball in Redondo Beach. Please put your right hand over your heart and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please do stay standing for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you, Karen. Come on down for a thank you and a photo.
Indoor volleyball or beach volleyball?
One, two, three. One, two, three. You want mom and dad? You guys want to join?
You can come up here.
Everybody, quickly.
Hello, Steve.
There you go.
Hello, Rich.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, he's in. Okay.
Everybody's here now.
All right, here we go. One, two, three. We're good.
Thank you again. Well done. And if any of our other youth are in fact interested in leading us in the pledge, please sign up. Redondo.org pledge program. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on next to presentations, proclamations, and AB 1234 reporting. And with that, I do in fact have a proclamation, and I will come down right now to address it.
It's on. It's already on.
So good evening, everybody. Tonight, on behalf of the city of Redondo Beach, I'm proud to formally proclaim October 19th through 25th, 2025 as United Against Hate Week here in Redondo Beach. I'd like to call and thank both Vanessa Poster, board member of the Beach Cities Health District. Thank you for being here. And our friend Scott Houston from the West Basin Municipal Water District board member. Thank you both for being here and for joining us at this very important event. Both of these fine people are supporters of the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate, and happy to have you joining us. So for those who may not know, this week is about more than symbolism. It's about community action and standing together against division, discrimination, and fear. In 2023, Los Angeles County recorded a staggering, and I didn't know this, 1,350 reported hate crimes. Yeah, that's the highest number ever documented. In fact, it's a 45% increase from the previous year. And in addition to that, unfortunately, there were 800 hate incidents ranging from harassment to verbal attacks. And those were reported through the LA versus Hate Initiative, which is a very important initiative. And these aren't just numbers, right? I mean, this is real harm. This is a real problem. And it affects real people in our communities. And while these trends may feel distant, our city, Redondo Beach, is not immune. We're not immune. We've seen how tensions can find their way into our neighborhoods, making people more vulnerable and giving rise to extremist rhetoric. As local leaders and neighbors, we have a responsibility to counter this with empathy, courage, and action. By recognizing United Against Hate Week, we send a clear collective message, which is hate has no place here in the city. Everyone belongs. We also affirm and reaffirm our support for community partners like the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate, who work year-round to build understanding, address bias, and protect our most vulnerable residents, including children. So I encourage, and I know our entire city council and staff encourage, every resident, every business, every organization in Redondo Beach to take part, whether that's by attending an event, speaking up against injustice, or simply taking the time to learn more. Let's use this week not just to raise awareness, but to build bridges, amplify voices, and move forward as a stronger, more inclusive community. Together, let's continue to make and keep Redondo Beach a place where every law-abiding person feels safe, seen, and supported. And I want to particularly thank our police department for helping us in that effort. On behalf of the city of Redondo Beach, including our mayor, Jim Light, the city council, and other elected officials, I hereby proclaim October 19th to 25th, 2025 as United Against Hate Week. Thank you for everything you've done and continue to do. And I am honored to provide, there's one for each of you here. Oh, shared, thank you. Shared certificate in commemoration and proclamation. And again, thank you for everything you do. I'm going to hand it over in the event you had a few words.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We really do appreciate it. I just want to reintroduce myself, Scott Houston, board member at the West Bay Municipal Water Board. But for those who don't know, we do have the South Bay Community Coalition Against Hate, and it is a coalition. So all of our beach cities, all of our school districts, the West Basin Water District, the Beach Cities Health District, El Camino College, and a number of other stakeholders and even some religious organizations are part of our coalition. And so it is United Against Hate Week. We have a series of events that are happening this week. So for those of you who couldn't, last night was Yoga for Unity. That was held at the Beach Cities Health District. But coming up briefly, there's going to be a community by candlelight vigil in El Segundo tomorrow evening at 5:30 at City Hall on Main Street. There's going to be an interfaith unity walk Thursday, October 23rd at 9:30 in Manhattan Beach. And also, all this week, we are holding a food drive for the Richstone Family Center's Single Mom Project. And everything can be found at southbayversushate.org. That's southbayvshate.org. And we thank the city of Redondo Beach for recognizing this. And I will hand this over briefly to Vanessa Poster, my colleague.
Hi, Vanessa Poster, Beach Cities Health District Board Member. And there is a bin to collect food at the Beach Cities Health District at our Center for Health and Fitness. So if you have some canned goods, other non-perishable items you'd like to donate, just drop them off there and be part of the community in that way. Our theme this year is about building community, building connections, and also finding peace within ourselves. It's hard to combat hate and injustice and war in the world if we ourselves are feeling those things internally. So that's why we did yoga for unity and encourage people to really find that peace inside to help you be a better person in your community. And I have stickers for each of the council members. Neighbors United Against Hate. So thank you.
Do we need a motion to receive and file?
Receive and file a sticker. There's another one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got you. Okay, good. And then I also have some posters that we've done. This one says Together Against Hate, and it has the call 211 to report a hate crime. And the our county supervisor, Holly Mitchell, is also part of our coalition, and I just think it's really beautiful. We put this together. And then there's the same as the sticker, LA County Neighbors United Against Hate. So this is for the city, for you to post wherever you would want to post these things. I'll just leave those here. Thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll get a photo.
Yeah, we're gonna get a photo right now.
Okay, great. No, you saw me at the Fun Fest. That was outside. Thank you.
Thank you again, Vanessa. As was yours. All right, we're going to keep moving right along to proclamations, and we will begin with Councilmember Brad Waller.
Not a proclamation, but at least announcements. So last week, I attended the dedication of a commemorative brick for Carl Dreisler at the Redondo Union Alumni House, one of possibly only 2 or 3 alumni houses of public high schools in the United States, as far as they could tell. I'd like to congratulate Carl for the recognition of his leadership for the first 6 years of the organization and the hard work to get the Alumni House renovated. It's 8 years old at this point. Since the renovation, the house is 100-something years old. At the Clean Power Alliance board meeting last week, they talked about the Power Ready program that installs solar power with battery backup for city and community sites. They're almost complete with their round 1, which means the round 2 is going to use lessons learned from that, and applications are open now. So that's not just the city, the schools and other civic organizations could also apply for those. Also, at the Clean Power Alliance meeting, they said that changes to our electric bills are coming in November. SCE will be adding a base service charge of $24 for most of us to every bill. The delivery fee will decrease. And so what that means is for people whose bills are around $100 a month, you'll probably see a $10 to $15 increase. For people with bills around $200 a month, it'll be unchanged. And with people with larger bills, it actually will probably be going down. That doesn't mean they want you to use more electricity, but it's SCE's way. There was a law passed that allowed the CPUC that allowed SCE to increase that delivery fee, which currently is $1. Last week, had the honor of attending the Redondo Union High School homecoming. I got to present the certificate commendation announcing at the domestic violence awareness vigil on Saturday. And tomorrow is the Keep the Esplanade Beautiful Mixer at HT Grill, 5:30 to 7:30. Everybody's welcome. It's free to attend. Montauk in the Village is also opening soft launches this week, starting October 26th to November 6th, and their grand opening is scheduled for November 13th. West Basin Water District will be holding their Winter Harvest Water Festival, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Edward Little Water Recycling Facility in El Segundo. That's off Hughes Way and Sepulveda. And don't forget to bring your kids to Riviera Village October 31st, starting at 3 p.m. for the annual Trick or Treat in the Village. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Castle.
I just have one announcement. Tomorrow I will be hosting my community meeting on the second floor of the library tomorrow at 5:30. The guest speaker for tomorrow will be our city traffic engineer, Ryan Liu, who's going to be discussing changes of the traffic pattern and parking pattern around the high school. So there's been lots of interest from various sides of the high school about the parking and traffic around there. So please come tomorrow afternoon. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Kaladervich.
Yeah, just real quickly, it was great to attend the homecoming game, the 120th homecoming game at Redondo Union, and the fireworks show was exceptional. I had my District 3 community meeting online on Saturday. Thank you for all those who attended. We had great discussion about very important community very important things happening in the community in District 3 and the entire community. Mobile mental health response that is kicking off this month, the Sea Line extension and the final EIR that's coming out with the Metro Board decision coming up, and Galleria update, among others. And we will have an in-person November District 3 community meeting with a date to be determined. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Obaji.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Barron. I'm excited to announce, in case you haven't heard it, that Hermosa Beach is the latest of cities to join Redondo in favoring the Hawthorne alignment of the Sea Line extension. In case I'd like to personally thank Action Ray Jackson, Council members Michael Keegan, Mayor Rob Saman, and Councilmember Dean Francois for their support and alignment friendship there. In case you're keeping count, that's 4 cities in favor of the Hawthorne alignment of the Sea Line extension: Hermosa Beach, Redondo, Lawndale, and Hawthorne, and only 1, Torrance, in favor of the row. The Metro directors will probably be taking that up December 4th. The Artesia Boulevard survey is out. It's been extended. It's been kept open for an additional week because we had some glitches with the survey link at first, but it's up on our website. And it also a blue folder link that was sent to us by Director House. And you can access it. It's got great questions about what kind of art you'd like to see on Artesia Boulevard, how you navigate Artesia Boulevard. And you just get on redondo.org and type Artesia survey. It'll be the first thing that pops up beautifully. All right, and our Public Works team, thank you, Mike Klein, and our Public Works team's working magnificently on Artesia Boulevard, fixing up where the trees have uprooted some of the street towards the median, and they're zipping up some of that street, sanding it down, smoothing it out, putting in some gravel, and sealing it up and putting back a smooth surface, and I greatly appreciate that. Finally, I've received a lot of complaints about the intersection of Grant and Blossom. The Public Works and Sustainability Commission will be having a hearing on that intersection and traffic calming for that intersection on October 27th at 7 p.m. right here. If you either cut through at that intersection or you've seen accidents there and would like traffic calming to occur, please come and speak up to our Public Works Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Obaji. I have no announcements this week, which brings us to order of agenda. I'm going to ask each council member if they want to request a movement of anything on the agenda, starting with Councilmember Waller.
No requests.
Councilmember Castle.
No, thank you.
Councilmember Kaladervich. Councilmember Obaji.
No, thank you.
Okay. I move to approve the order of agenda as is.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. None opposed. All right, we're going to take an agency recess to the Redondo Beach Housing Authority. So I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, so we don't have any of the other commissioners. I just want to double check. Okay, thank you. So I have Member Waller,
Present.
Member Castle.
Here.
Member Kaludjetovic.
Here.
Member Obaji.
Here.
Commissioner Price and Commissioner Newton absent, and Chairman Light and Vice Chair Barrett.
Here. All right. Motion to approve order of agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Any blue folder items tonight, Madam Clerk?
None for this item.
Okay. All right, that brings us to the consent calendar for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority. Would any member like to pull any item from the consent calendar for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority? Councilmember Waller?
Nope.
Councilmember Castle?
No, thank you.
Member Kaladerovich?
Thank you.
No,
Member
thank you.
Obaji? Our other member? No?
They're not present here.
They're not present here. Okay. All right, and I have none either. So with that, we take a motion on the consent calendar items or
We
public
asked for
comment?
Public comment.
All right. Anybody like to make public comment on the consent calendar for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority? Okay, nobody in the chambers is requesting to do so. Anybody online?
None. Or no
All right.
comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, with that, a motion to approve the consent calendar for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. All right, we're going to have public participation on non-agenda items for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority. Do we have any cards for public?
None.
None. Anyone online?
Comments and no.
Okay, we're going to move on. Okay, do we have any other items, Madam Clerk?
No, you just need to ask the member items for referral to staff. Anybody?
All right, any members have an item for referral to staff for the Redondo Beach Housing Authority?
Nope.
Okay.
None for myself either. So I believe that brings us to adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? All right.
Then I'll do roll call.
Let's do a roll call for the Redondo Beach City Council back to the regular meeting, please.
Councilmember Waller.
Present.
Councilmember Castle.
Here.
Councilmember Kaludjetovic.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
And Mayor Light absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Barrett.
Here.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any blue folder items for tonight's meeting?
Yes, we have J1, public participation on non-agenda items. We have Artesia survey link and public communications. For L1, which is the public hearing related to the ordinance on the California Building Standard Code, we have 2 minor edits in section 63 and 72, which are highlighted, and 1, which is the discussion of possible action regarding the ordinance language pertaining to the smoke shop regulations, public communication, and that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Motion to receive and file the blue folder items.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed.
Okay.
All right, I believe that brings us to the consent calendar. I'm going to ask each council member if there's any consent calendar item that they'd like to pull, starting with Councilmember Waller.
Nothing.
Councilmember Castle.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Kaladerovich.
None, thank you.
Councilmember Obaji.
No, thank you.
Okay, and I have none. Before we vote on these consent calendar items, I believe it's the appropriate time to ask if there's any public comment on any of the consent calendar items for the Redondo Beach City Council. Any cards, Madam Clerk?
No, not for consent.
Okay. And nobody coming forward? Anyone online?
No one online, and no e-comments and no Zoom for the record.
Okay. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No opposition.
Okay, so I will read the resolutions and ordinance. For H11, adopt by 4/5 vote and title only resolution number CC 2510-081, a resolution of City Council, City of Redondo Beach, California, authorizing a fiscal year 2025 budget modification to allocate $17,183 from the City of Hermosa Beach for Beach City's Transit Line 109 Cost Sharing to Transit Fund. H14, adopt by title only resolution number CC-2510-079, a resolution City Council, City of Redondo Beach, California, leasing certain properties to 211 Crystal Cove Apartments LLC, a Delaware corporation. H16, adopt by title only resolution number CC 2510-080, a resolution, City Council, City of Redondo Beach, California, amending the official book of the class specifications to amend the position of Assistant City Clerk. We have one more. H20, adopt by title only ordinance number 3306-25, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Redondo Beach, California, amending Title 10, Chapter 2, Article 5, Section 10-2.1707 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code pertaining to parking regulations for non-residential uses located on properties within the Artesia and Aviation Corridors Area Plan for second reading and adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe that brings us to the item J, public participation on non-agenda items. So with that, this section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on this agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the council. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Written request, if any, will be considered first under the section. And with that, it is 6:42 p.m. We shall begin. The first card I have is from Holly Osborne, followed by Jim Mueller.
Get straight to the point. Metro has given some pretty lame arguments for the row option of the Green Line. This is where they want to add 2 LRT tracks to an existing freight track and the right-of-way versus putting the line on Hawthorne Boulevard. If you've watched any of those presentations, they have assigned little black balls for good points, and oh, they gave the row a black ball for this one, if you can believe it. So here's one of the arguments that made me technically cringe. Metro will make the row quiet zone ready. This means that the existing freight train would not have to sound its horn when it comes to a quiet zone crossing. These crossings are primarily distinguished by a double set of crossing arms rather than a single on each side, so you have 4 total. Pomona has a quiet zone. Established in 2007, it has heavy rail trains passing through over 100 times a day. Glendale has a quiet zone established in 2017. Trains pass through 90 times a day. On the row in Lawndale and Redondo, the freight train passes through twice a day. Not 100, not 90. What we are concerned about is the noise from 200 to 300 LRT trains passing each day, and a quiet zone does nothing to mitigate that. So saying something is quiet zone ready is a fake talking point for people who don't understand what a quiet zone is. So I gave this speech before the construction committee back in June. I don't think I've given it here yet, but anyway, it just makes me cringe when I have to listen to arguments like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jim Mueller, followed by Nikki Negrete Mitchell.
Thank you, Council. It's always a pleasure to speak before you. More than 5,000 responses on Nextdoor and the North Redondo Facebook page were overwhelmingly positive about having a farmer's market on Artesia Boulevard. The Planning Commission liked it too. They formed a subcommittee and will communicate the findings to the council. You can get lettuce and bananas lots of places, but fresh produce isn't the main reason so many citizens are enthused to have a market. They see it as a community gathering and want it at a time when the whole family can attend together, either on a Saturday or a Sunday morning. A lot of families can safely walk or bike to the market if it is located where the power line crosses Artesia Boulevard. The path under the line extends deep into the neighborhoods on both sides of Artesia, and that location is central between Ringe and Inglewood. The ACAP recommends encouraging biking and walking to alleviate traffic and parking requirements. A farmer's market from 9 to 1 on a Saturday morning on Artesia would be good for surrounding businesses. Families will likely be hungry after a morning at the market. There are several restaurants nearby as well as service businesses. The term farmer's market is misleading, though, because other attractions often evolve at a successful market, such as music and art exhibits. Redondo schools encourage entrepreneurship through the Makers Fair and ECHO programs. They could have a booth at the market. Other cities have successfully revitalized slow districts by giving the people who live around them a place and a reason to gather. Smart developers want their businesses to be where the crowd is, especially where the women are. So why do they like women? Women make 75% or more of the household purchasing decisions surveys show. The majority of responses to my social media posts, especially the I love it's, were from women. Brick and mortar developments can take a while, but a farmer's market with cooperation from the city can be up and running quickly and at a relatively low cost. Plus, it will bring a customer base to the boulevard that attracts future permanent development. I urge the council to push this effort forward for the good of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Nikki Negrete Mitchell.
Good evening, Nikki Negrete Mitchell, District 3. And I shared the following to the Metro Planning and Programming Committee meeting last week. First I told them that Hermosa voted 4-1 to support us on No to Row and yes, on Hawthorne Boulevard, bringing, as Councilmember Obaji said, 4 cities, the cluster of 4 cities supporting the Hawthorne option. Plus, refinery and pipeline owners raised objections to the proposed project due to concerns of breaching internal safety protocols and severe risk to public safety. The refinery refers to possible incidents, AKA explosions, fires. This warrants serious consideration. The FEIR offers no consolation, only that they refine their footprint, lessening encroachments on the refinery, but does not change significant impacts. They indicate they have not worked out pipeline issues yet, which poses risks to operations at LAX. It's illogical to think a transit agency knows better than the actual gas and refinery industry professionals, and I got their attention with that. We've noticed a pattern of the board certifying other projects but slapping conditions with it. Then they don't have to suffer as many political repercussions. I mentioned the Dodger Stadium gondola project last time I was here, being dead in the water. The board gave them a list of 31 conditions, and eventually the State Court of Appeals ended up rejecting that FEIR as environmentally non-compliant, demonstrating that issues raised by the public are meaningful and thereby validated. Another project is the Union Station project build, which got certified, but with a demand for a supplemental EIR. And either of these could happen to us. But we are fairly certain with the concerns raised by the refinery and pipeline companies validating our public concerns, there's very little chance they would be able to just straight up certify and push the sea line extension through as is. As for conditions, please ensure your many vulnerable senior constituents are protected one way or another, as we tend to get swept under the carpet and dismissed as granny needs to straighten her pictures on the wall every day. It is far more serious than that. Construction alone would absolutely shorten lives. That is probably far more inequitable than anything else. The only solution to all of the above is to route the extension down Hawthorne Boulevard and ending at the Galleria to avoid the refinery. We already have housing planned at the Galleria and along Hawthorne in the city of Lawndale, so this would be a reasonable compromise. A lot of Torrance residents would be relieved. They don't actually want the train there. Plus that location is highly toxic, and that's another.
Your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Would anybody else here present in the chambers like to address the council on non-agenda items? Please come forward.
Longtime North Redondo resident and taxpayer, and good to see you, Council Ford. Just a couple of quick comments and a couple of questions. I sand run Avenue D to the pier, or I bike on a regular basis. So when things occur, I'll bring them up to people. Been in the South Redondo, North Redondo for over 30 years. since Brian Sargent, his last name escapes me, has moved on from the pier, the dog issues are rampant. I've had them come up to me, both legs, and honestly, I don't know what to do. I don't feel that's good for people. It sure isn't a friendly environment, especially when you have pit bulls. They're dragging their owners on the pier, and you have people with kids. That's not an inviting scenario on the pier. We should have some sort of community engagement where people feel comfortable bringing their children. If we have out-of-state visitors that are visiting, if I see the crazy ones, this is off track. If I see the crazy ones, I tell them how beautiful Venice and Santa Monica is. But for the wonderful visitors here, I try and help them with good directions to restaurants they may need some help and so on. Anyway, as residents, what can we do about the dog thing? We have signs. There's many signs. They mean nothing. And I don't know that it's Redondo's responsibility versus county, but something has shifted because ever since Brian went on to wherever he is now, different department, it's a mess down there. Whether it's right by the water, just, you guys know it. Anybody walks down there, they see the dogs. That's one subject. So I'd like some sort of response. What can we do?
Do you ever call the police department,
I've talked to them many times. I would engage with anybody that's down there, but for the most part, people can say there's PD down there, they're kind of gone. I got a couple other real quick ones. Please don't forget about e-bike safety. Just because your numbers don't show things doesn't mean the problems occur. You know that, Zane. On the way over here, Chick-fil-A, fast lane, 2 females in front of vehicles driving. And I'm watching this, hoping to God these girls don't get hit and killed. We don't forget about the safety of e-bikes. I'll leave it at that for now. My last one, is there anything we can do? Christmas is coming with the lights on Artesia. It's terrible. I'll give you more later.
Thank you. We have a card. Okay, Ms. Laura McMarrin, please.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Laura McMorrin. I'm a Redondo resident and founder of Citizens for Redondo's Trees. Citizens is a new community initiative to protect, grow, and sustain healthy urban forest in the neighborhoods we call home. We advocate for equitable tree canopy coverage, thoughtful replanting, and long-term stewardship of Redondo Beach's trees. There are 3 topic areas we are focused on: community education, policies, and grassroots action to plant trees. We aim to ensure that every neighborhood enjoys the benefits of shade, biodiversity, and beauty for generations to come. Recently, I vacationed at some national parks, and our national parks are a manifestation of our values. These values are not just limited to national parks. What are our values as a city? Do we care about urban wildlife? Do we care about mitigating our footprint on the environment? Do we care about leaving the next generation a beautiful city with a robust tree canopy? If the answer is yes, then actions are needed now. There are thousands of places to plant trees that lack trees in the city. There are properties which were required to plant trees that are missing trees. In the late city, excuse me, in the 60s, Redondo applied multiple times to HUD for beautification funds. These applications included funds for thousands of trees. These trees have more years behind them than ahead of them, which is why actions are needed today and not tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Would anybody else present here like to address council? Okay, seeing none, do we have anyone online?
We have no Zoom, and we have no e-comments for the record.
All right, so with that, I believe we've concluded public comment on non-agenda items. All right. Before we go to our public hearing, I think now is the time to address ex parte communications. All right, so we will do that ex parte communications on item L1, starting with Councilmember Brad Waller.
I spoke to the city manager.
Okay, Councilmember Castle.
Just the city manager as well.
Okay, Councilmember Kaladerovich.
I've not talked to anyone on this topic.
Councilmember Obaji.
I have not spoken to anybody.
Okay, and I did speak with city staff. All right, so with that, we have our public hearing. So I believe the first step is to get a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None
Aye.
opposed. Okay. So, is there a presentation? All right. who
Yes,
will-
there is.
Please
Yeah.
proceed.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. I'm Mark Weiner, Director of Community Development. I'm going to turn the presentation over to the city's building official, Lorena Souls.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. This evening, I bring to you the public hearing to consider an ordinance amending Title 9 and 3 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code and adopting Title 24, Parts 1 through 12 of the California Building Standards and Regulations. So every 3 years, the California Building Standards Commission adopts the International Building Code with California amendments. Local jurisdictions shall enforce the code as adopted without modifications, except where amendments are justified by local conditions. In the 2025 code cycle, significant changes include care facilities in residential dwelling units, additional bicycle parking for multifamily dwellings, heat pump water heaters, along with updating accessibility codes and seismic provisions. There are no changes to the local code. So staff's recommendation is to open the public hearing and take testimony, close the public hearing, introduce ordinance 3307-25 by title only. With that, I'm available with Director Weiner and Fire Marshal Regan to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. I will first turn to the council to see if we had any hands up. I'm just going to go down the line. I don't see hands. Go ahead, Councilmember Waller.
Sure. When do those codes formally apply? Is it based on when a permit is applied for, when a permit is approved? You know, how does that timing work? So how do people know when that applies?
Once these codes are adopted, the 2025 codes will go into effect January 1, 2026. So anything submitted today until our city closure, they will be under the current codes, which is the 2022 California Building Code.
So basically, if we approve this today, starting tomorrow, or
January 1,
January 1.
2026.
but submitted after, so it's when they're submitted, not when they're approved.
Yes.
Or, okay.
Correct.
And so because of, obviously, since I didn't know about it, is there any kind of outreach, or do the builders all understand this because they're used to seeing this all the time?
It's typical. It happens every 3 years. They're used to seeing it.
All right, thank you.
Councilmember Castle.
No questions.
Councilmember Kaladerovich. Councilmember Obaji.
So thank you.
All right. Chief Regan, I see Jay May is here. Would you like to come down and speak to this issue?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I have with me, obviously, Chief May. I'm Division Chief Regan, and then this is Randy Scoville. He's a huge asset to us. He gets involved in all our plan checks and pretty much everything fire prevention. So played a big role in this, and as well as Lorena, so thank you. But yeah, I mean, every 3 years we do this. It's standard practice that, you know, probably about 4 or 5 months, maybe even 6 months beforehand, we'll meet with the other local fire marshals, the other fire departments, kind of compare our ordinances, go through the fire code. If you see, 30 years ago, the fire code was this big, now it's this big, so it takes a big crew to kind of review them. And we'll go through our ordinances, make sure that, we're all in unison, and while they may not be exactly the same, that we're pretty consistent across the board, and we all have kind of input and pick each other's brains. So a lot of these ordinances are carryovers from 2022, which were carryovers from previous. But yeah, if you have any questions, we're here for you, but this is something we do every 3 years, and
Thank you for doing it.
And I think if I could, Mayor Pro Tem, one thing to add, and thank you to the team for this presentation. There isn't any proposed change to the ordinances, fire codes in particular, that we control as a municipality, right? Cities, charter cities have an opportunity to set their own requirements. Typically, cities that do that would set more restrictive requirements than the state code would obligate. What we have in place today is proposed for continuation, no amendments to what we control as an administrating organization. So I think that's important to note. We certainly feel the state's code set is sufficient as it pertains to building requirements and conditions. There's nothing that we feel we need to do above and beyond those restrictions to bring about additional safety in our community.
Okay, that's good to know. Good to hear. All right. Thank you, Division Chief Regan. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Madam Clerk, do we have any other public testimony, including online?
I have no e-comments or Zoom.
And so no comments either. No cards, no public comment on this item?
Yeah. No.
Okay. All right, anything further from any of the council members before we move towards closing the public hearing? None? Okay, motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any further discussion from council?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so the recommended action, I believe, is to introduce by title only ordinance number 3307-25. Okay, so moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay.
I can read. Introduced by title only ordinance number 3307-25, an ordinance of the city of Redondo Beach, California, adopting by reference the 2025 editions of the California Building Code, California Residential Code, California Electrical Code, California Plumbing Code, California Mechanical Code, California Fire Code, California Existing Building Code, California Green Building Standards Code, California Energy Code, California Administrative Code, California Historical Building Codes, the California Reference Standards Code, 2024 International Property Maintenance Code, 2006 Uniform Swimming Pool, Spa, and Hot Tub Code, 1997 Uniform Housing Code, and 1997 Uniform Code for Abatement of Dangerous Buildings, together with certain deletions, additions, and amendments to Titles 3, 5, and 9 of the Redondo Beach Municipal Code. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reopen public comment on non-agendized items because I had some constituents come in and I'm sure they want to yell at me.
Well, I'll second that. I believe we do have a few minutes at least left on that, so unless Madam Clerk says otherwise or the city attorney, we'll call a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Okay, do we have a card?
We don't need a card. We don't need one. You can just go ahead and fill up.
Please.
Well, I'm going to be nice, guys, because normally I come in like a thundering storm, but instead I'm just actually more or less kind of just seeking knowledge and trying to understand some things that are going on. So on Kingsdale Avenue, I did bring some, I never bring visuals, but I did bring some visuals. It's just not my style, but can I approach and give you guys this stuff?
Give it to the clerk.
Yeah, but that's how little I bring visuals.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
So on Kingsdale Avenue, I woke up on Thursday of last week, and there were guys out there getting ready to start looking for gas lines and stuff to start doing work on the road. Come to find out that they're the intent on Kingsdale Avenue now is to go ahead and eliminate 5 out of our 9 parking spots that are on the street. And to try to align the left-hand, I'm not quite sure, but it says in there, he says, align the left-hand turn lanes correctly. The challenge that we have over there is we don't have any parking. We have no parking. Because on the one side of the street is no parking, and it's the mall. On the other side is our parking spots. And now they're taking away 5 of those parking spots. The other challenge that we have on that street that might not have been known when this was first injected was that we have a really serious problem with, I don't know how other to say it, but we'll say the mentally challenged on our street because of the homeless shelter and all the other things that are going on over there. Day before yesterday, we had some guy pounding on our door telling us he was there for the rental and he needed to see the rental. And so my wife was able to tell him she's calling the police and he should leave. About 2 months ago, I had a lady come up to my door and she was slamming a hardwood chair on my door telling me this was her house and I needed to get out of her house and we had to call the police. So it's not like we can just take our driveways and leave them wide open and park in them. We have to actually have gates at the end to protect ourselves from people coming up our driveway. And, you know, my living room window's there, my kitchen window's there, right? So this is a safety issue. And all of a sudden, you're taking away my parking spots and I have nowhere to park. Because even if all those driveways that are over there, ever been on Kingsdale Avenue, they're all single car driveways. And when you go in, you can't park in the driveway and get out of your car. You can't do it. There's not enough room to do that. So all of a sudden, they're taking away 55% of our parking spots. My next door neighbor, you know, several months ago was diagnosed with MS. You know, he's handicapped. And, you know, I mean, you're taking away his parking spot from out front. And so when I reached out to the city to find out what was going on, I mean, I don't know where this all went down or how it all went down, but the reality of it is that I didn't get any notice.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Oh, okay, sorry. So anyhow, I'm seeking to understand that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. We're going to move it along from this item to next, which I believe is items for discussion prior to action. Item N1, discussion and possible action regarding updated draft ordinance language pertaining to smoke shop regulations. So with that, Mr. City Manager and Director Weiner.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. I'll be giving this presentation tonight. So the City Council's met on this item on multiple occasions previously and provided direction to staff. It was also reviewed by the Planning Commission. For this presentation, I'm going to pick up from where it left off, which was the last City Council meeting on August 19th. And I'll get right into what the council's direction was at that meeting and how it's been incorporated. So one of the recommendations was to modify the buffer requirement so that it'd be 600 feet between smoke shops and 600 feet from schools and youth centers. That would be for any new smoke shop. Previously, there were some larger radiuses around these that included more uses. However, at that meeting, we had provided the City Council with a map showing that would actually make it very challenging to open a smoke shop under those buffer zones. So it was modified as such to have a more workable buffer zone requirements. The City Council also had presented during the meeting a definition of e-cigarette that's been incorporated into the draft. Also a updated definition of youth center that's been incorporated, and that ties into the youth center related to the buffer requirements. Also a recommendation to remove the reference to cannabis from the definition section, and that was because the way it was, the context of how it was in that section, it could have been implied that by disallowing it in that one scenario, maybe it was allowed in another without getting too deep into the reasoning, but that's why it was deleted completely. The council directed staff to add an exemption for hookah lounge, consistent with what applies to the smokers lounge. And the reason being is that's more of a use-based business as opposed to strictly sale of tobacco and what you would see from a smoke shop. So that was the direction on that. And also the prior version had prescriptive standards related to the hours of operation. The council preferred that that be determined by the Planning Commission as part of the conditional use permit process rather than a code requirement requiring what the hours are across the board. The city council also requested that the cap placed on the businesses be at 5, and I'll get into that in a moment. And also to more clearly define ancillary sales and evaluate whether existing businesses can comply, which involves some research. So I do want to get into these last two in a little more detail. So the draft includes a cap on the allowed number of smoke shops. We currently have 16 approximately. There is draft language in this ordinance that would limit those existing non-conforming buildings or uses to operate for 5 years after the adoption of this ordinance. And they would be non-conforming because under the ordinance, they would be required to obtain a conditional use permit. So that would be a new requirement, and we would be over the cap. However, in order to allow the businesses to be able to recoup their investments and to, for legal reasons, we've set that limit at 5 years that they have to continue operating as a current non-conforming use. It's kind of an amortization period. The original draft allowed an initial number of 10 smoke shops for the legal non-conforming businesses, which would reduce down to 5 over time through attrition as they go out of business, change uses. However, at the last meeting, the city council directed staff to modify the ordinance to lower that initial cap from 10 to 5. So that means after the 5-year period, and during that period, the business would have to obtain a CUP in order to continue operating once you get past the 5 years, and it would be limited to 5 at that period of time rather than 10. So the ordinance has been modified as such. Also, I wanted to address the issue of the licenses for those existing non-conforming businesses, the ones that are in operation. So those we can issue new licenses under this ordinance, and they could be transferred. It would be treated the same as any other legal non-conforming business in the city, where they'd be allowed to continue operating. Someone could come in and obtain a new business license to operate from that location. They would not have to obtain a CUP within the 5 years. However, once it hits the 5 years from the date of this ordinance, the business would have to cease to operate if they did not obtain a CUP. And in working with the city attorney's office, we were talking about how to educate the applicants on this. And we're thinking that with any new business license issued for those sites or a transfer, there would be a notification that would let the new business owner make them aware of when the termination date is on the use. I next want to turn to ancillary sales, because this came up at the last meeting, and there was discussion about how do we handle stores that sell tobacco products that do not meet the definition of a smoke shop or tobacco retailer. The original draft allowed 2% of the gross floor area of the store, or 200 square feet, whichever is less. Per the council's direction, staff did visit multiple businesses within the city that sell tobacco products. That includes convenience stores, gas stations, grocery stores. And what we learned is that for most of those businesses, they really rely on a vertical wall display for the tobacco products. It's really less of an issue of footprint or square footage of the space. So for that reason, we have modified the draft to limit the wall display to 20 to 50 square feet. Was within the range of what we found through our research. It would limit the floor space to no more than 1% of the gross floor area. Previously it was at 2%. The reason being, we think it's important to still have some limitation on the footprint of this and not only address vertical display. That said, there is a provision that allows the community development director to require reductions in these allowances or to allow for increases with the finding that remains ancillary to the primary use, which is sales of other retail products. And really the purpose of this is to give staff some discretion to vet these applications a bit and analyze them and get a sense of what it is that what the intent of the business is going to be based on the floor plan they submit and how they show the where the tobacco is going to be located in the store. So that's an overview of the ancillary sales issue that came up at the last meeting. Other amendments that we made to this draft, we clarified some of the procedural requirements. I worked with the city attorney's office on this with Cheryl. We also cross-referenced other code sections that were applicable to this, including the code section on the tobacco retail permit, because there is some overlap between the two. And when we bring this back for ordinance, we're probably going to make a few adjustments to that. Title 5, Chapter 9, Article 2, because there may be a few cross-references in that section. And then we also added regulations aimed at preventing underage smoking, and this is really just copied and pasted from that tobacco retail permit section. We felt it would be important to have it in two places in the code. So that just came out of another section of the code. But with that, the recommendation is to provide direction on this item, additional direction, and then schedule it for November 18th for a first reading of the ordinance. And that concludes the presentation. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Director Weiner. Can you go back one slide?
Yes.
The cross-reference to other code sections, tobacco retail permit, what specifically is the purpose of doing that?
So it cross-references the fact that with this updated draft, we made it clear that they need a conditional use permit, a business license, and a tobacco retail permit. So it cross-references
The smoke shop needs it.
The smoke shop would,
Okay.
yes.
This is not regulating other tobacco establishments.
It clearly identifies that those are the three permits that are needed to operate, and it has code references to those sections. So if somebody was going through the ordinance, they could see what the requirements are for each one of those.
Okay. Thank you. I did have one question at the top for yourself, Director Weiner, also city attorney, perhaps city manager. Looking at the definition of smoke shop, it could be construed as including a cannabis retailer simply because as you go unpack the definition, a smoke shop includes a business that sells paraphernalia, which includes instruments that could be used to consume controlled substances, which in turn can include cannabis. So when you string it together, a shop that is selling like cannabis vape pens could fall under the definition of a smoke shop. So I guess the question I have is that a good thing, or should we make it clear for purposes of this ordinance, smoke shop does not include a cannabis retailer? So Director Weiner, if you want to start, or city attorney, city manager, any of the three of you who may have comment on that.
I don't have any issue with making that addition and providing some clarification on that.
Yeah, I think it would make sense for us to be absolutely clear that the two are separate and that cannabis retailers are potentially, assuming we move forward with that, and either way in our definition and ordinance are subject to the cannabis ordinance restrictions, and smoke shops are subject to the smoke shop ordinance restrictions. Okay. And that the two are distinct.
All right. Would that be the sale of cannabis or cannabis and cannabis-related paraphernalia?
Your question is what?
Or just in terms of what the recommendation was.
I think just to clearly separate the two uses.
Okay.
As applying distinctly to one or the other ordinance.
So, but your question being, at a smoke shop, could you sell cannabis paraphernalia? That is not cannabis, but it would be something.
Yeah, that's correct. So as we incorporate this recommendation of separating out the cannabis, asking if it would be just cannabis or a cannabis plus the associated paraphernalia,
I think it would be difficult.
Just the cannabis. If you recall, before cannabis was legalized in the state, everybody, all the smoke shops would sell cannabis paraphernalia, but you ask them, what are these for? They say tobacco, right? The bongs are for tobacco use, water pipes. So I think that, that's going to continue to be the norm, that they're going to be able to sell that in a smoke shop, but we're just targeting them not selling cannabis.
Right. So before that recommendation's even made to whether or not to make it clear that a smoke shop is not a cannabis retailer and they're subject to two separate statutory schemes. Ms. City Attorney, any thoughts or comments on any of that?
I don't know if it's necessary. I like entities to be subject to both if they were selling both, if we ever decide to go forward with the permitting process for cannabis dispensaries in the city. Having more tools for enforcement is always good. So, theoretically, if we did have a permitting process for cannabis dispensaries, they may also be subject to this ordinance as well. So I don't know if we have to distinguish it. If there were any conflicts between any other sections of the municipal code or for state law, we can add a section that says if there is a conflict, then the more restrictive ordinance or law would apply.
Okay. So that option would be to perhaps leave it as is, and a cannabis retailer would be subject to the smoke shop ordinance. In the event of a conflict between those two statutory schemes, the more stricter one would apply. I'm kind of agnostic on it, myself. I guess the question I have is, if the cannabis retailers came into being, would that count against the 5 smoke shops? And if so, is that a problem?
Yeah, that was one of the things I had thought about when you and I discussed this yesterday, was this, if you start to interlace the two, we may need to define whether or not the 2 cannabis licenses, if they're ever issued, apply to the 5. So I think we've got a lot of very robust enforcement provisions in both the ordinances. I tend to lean just towards clarity for clarity's sake, but
cannabis shop subject to the cannabis ordinance.
Right.
Smoke
There was a
shop
lot of
subject to
time
the
and
smoke
energy
shop
spent on that.
ordinance. Okay.
Is it even conceivable that a tobacco shop, smoke shop could sell cannabis, or that a cannabis shop could end up becoming one of the 5 tobacco shops?
It seems to me they would have to be successful. For anybody to sell cannabis, they're going to have to be successful through our licensing process, and our competitive licensing process. Now, if that business then separately want to co-locate a smoke shop,
they'd have to get
they
one of
would
the
have
5.
to get a smoke shop license permit, and they would then be subject to the smoke shop regulations. And they would then, that unit or co-located business would be subject and part and parcel to our smoke shop ordinance.
Right.
I can't imagine anybody who, I suspect the 2, if we ever do go down the RFP path, I can't imagine them wanting to waste their precious space on smoke shop merchandise.
If they got both, they should definitely go buy a lotto ticket, right?
But I mean, we're not there yet. And again, we could always adopt these items and provide clarity down the road if it becomes a conflict, to Joy's point.
Okay, thank you. My hand screen's not working, Councilmember Castle.
I was just going to add the ordinance for cannabis and cannabis retailers is very different than this order for smoke shops, and things like just the term that's allowed under the cannabis license is much longer than the 5-year sort of sunset on the smoke shop. So it's, if we combined them and went with the more aggressive time schedule, I mean, I think that would, prevent people from opening a cannabis shop if they only had 4 or 5 years to operate, under this license. So I think keeping them separate. I mean, and as a business owner, you'd probably, just given the 2 different regulatory environments, you probably not want your cannabis shop to be perceived as a tobacco smoke shop.
Okay. Councilmember Waller.
Sure. In our first meeting, we talked a little bit as a council about age-restricted access to the shops. I'm mixed on that, whether, whether we should, how restrictive that would be just because some of the shops have sales of energy drinks and gum and candy and stuff like that. But I'm just wondering if other people here had thoughts on that. I got other questions too, but.
Well, I'll just say on that, I think we came down one way or the other on that, and that was embedded in the ordinance as written. So I don't remember all the deliberations, but I'm good with what we have already come to. But
I think the
anybody
ordinance
else?
had said, at each entrance, you have to either be of age or you had to be with an adult to enter the store. And me personally, if they're selling energy drinks or chips or something like that, I think they should pick one. Either you're going to cater to kids or you're going to sell tobacco. Commit to one.
The next one is, do we have, or since you guys talk to the various retailers that have ancillary sales in the city, are there retailers that would be affected by this new rule? And if so, do we have like a communication plan needed or anything?
Go ahead, Mark.
In terms of the smoke shop retailers or just
the new ancillary sales rule are, CVS, Walgreens, Vons, any of those that have tobacco permits now, do they all follow under that 50 square foot ancillary sales already, or will they need exceptions?
They do. That was the upper end for the ancillary sales. I would say, and then there is the provision that gives the director some authority for flexibility on that. If it's clearly like a CVS or some other business, I think that's what the intent is. When it comes to the existing tobacco retailers, it does seem like they're aware of it just through media coverage. We haven't done any like direct mailings to them, but we've definitely been contacted by multiple, and it's a limited numbers. I think there is general awareness.
And then the last question is for the city attorney. Just wondering what your opinion is on the impacts and risk to Redondo if we wanted to reduce that 5-year term to shorter time, 3 years, or even as low as 18 months, as has been advocated.
So there's no bright line rule to that. Case law requires that we provide businesses either a just compensation or reasonable amortization period. There's been case law that says 180 days is too short, but to determine exactly what would pass court, it's very fact specific. So here we have a buffer zone. We've limited it to 5 businesses. Based on all the case law that we looked at, we are recommending 5 years. If you want to reduce that, you're risking lawsuits, but that's a risk that the council can take if you'd like.
Thank you.
Anything else, Councilmember Waller?
Those are my questions.
Okay, Councilmember Kaladerovich, if anything.
Yeah, because I thought we had 4 years previously. I thought that was the discussion. Am I recalling?
I don't recall.
I mean, I would prefer, did you?
I think at some point we did talk about shortening the period to 4 years. I do remember talking about that, but as the city attorney said, it's within your discretion what amortization period you want to enact.
Feel comfortable with.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that there's a recoupment on any kind of investment, and it has to be reasonable. Like the city attorney said, it's fact specific with 16 businesses and reducing that to 5 locations. There have been cases that says 18 months is fine, 5 years is fine. So there's no way to really gauge.
No clear line.
Yes.
So, and because previously it was written as going to 10 legal stores. And now, are you saying because we're going to 5, that it's a little more restrictive and that
Correct.
the timing?
That's, I think, where we landed at 5, because originally it was going to be a 2-step process, right? To
Yeah.
work it down to 10, I think, in 3 years, and then to 5 and 5 or whatever it was. So I think we're now accelerating the 5 on the 1 time frame.
Okay, understood. And then for enforcement, should this pass as we go forward, enforcement could be, I mean, all of these would be legal non-conforming, but as the ordinance is written, enforcement as it's written in the ordinance could be applied at the time it is now law, right? Like, it's not like once they get a CUP and the 5 years have passed, we can enforce. It's all the teeth that's written into this is 30 days after the second reading.
So they have time to comply, to bring their business to get the permit? So because they don't have a permit does not mean they're in violation of it.
Understood. I
But
guess.
the rules and regulations for operation would apply
For
with
operations.
the effectiveness of the ordinance, yes. They wouldn't have to get the CUP.
Right.
But they would have to follow the ordinance.
Okay.
And if they didn't,
Yes.
and we enforced and found out that they weren't following the ordinance, we could take action.
Before that 5-year period was up and CUPs were awarded.
You could take action on their tobacco retailer's license and or their business license. So just because they're a legal non-conforming use does not take them out of complying with any of the regulations, like posting signage, you can't sell to a minor. And just to go back very briefly to Councilman Barrett's point, we do have a provision in the rewrite where it says no smoke shops shall sell or distribute cannabis or cannabinoid products, drug paraphernalia, not directly related to legal smoke and vape products, nitrous oxide, flavored tobacco products, or other products prohibited by law. Okay. So it is in there to the extent that that addresses your concern.
So in that case, we could revoke their tobacco sales, retail sale license, and they would have to close if they were, let's say, selling to a minor or selling cannabis products.
Correct.
We could revoke or we might suspend initially.
Right.
I mean, we may take progressive action depending on the severity of the case first. But yes, we can enforce to the operating standards. We just can't shut them down because they don't have a CUP.
Right. And I ask because depending on how this goes, if some of these shops are applying for CUPs and they obtain them quickly, and the remaining shops, they still have a period of time, 4 years or so, they may be emboldened to just do whatever. And so if we have that teeth in there, we can enforce it, and that would be a consequence in doing that.
And in fact, I think, as we communicate this, once it's implemented, they're very much incentivized to follow all of the rules, because if they don't, that's a likely prohibition for them obtaining the CUP. As part of an application.
Another question, I know we already have a ban on flavored tobacco. We talked about this before. Synthetic flavored tobacco, is that addressed anywhere?
I think that section that I just read, flavored tobacco products, they cannot sell or distribute flavored.
Synthetic?
We can drop that in there.
Okay.
We could revise it to drop that in.
And I think when we talked about it, we felt like this was the more expansive.
Correct.
Because if you put.
Whether it's synthetic or not.
Because it doesn't matter if it's synthetic or natural,
it's going to
flavored.
capture that.
Yeah, I know that there was a workaround where it was banned in the state level, but it's still being sold because it's not technically tobacco. I'd like to make sure that we cover that.
Yeah, I think this was the way we felt like we were broader in the restriction.
I got it. I mean, maybe has a point. It says flavored tobacco products. It'd say it's synthetic. It's not a tobacco product.
Yeah, we can just add flavored tobacco product or flavored synthetic product.
Okay.
So we can capture that. And just for a point of clarification, with respect to the tobacco retailer license, that cannot be transferred. According to our provisions that are already in our code. You can't transfer those. So anytime anyone wants a tobacco retailer's permit or license, they need to come in and apply for one. So in the case of a business trying to sell their business, they can do that, but that new owner is going to have to come to the city and get a new license, a business license and a tobacco retailer's license.
And so even someone selling, you know, one of these ancillary stores that's selling tobacco needs a tobacco retail license. Is that right?
That's correct,
And
yes.
there's no limit on obtaining one currently in the city as an ancillary.
There's no,
I don't think so.
no, there's no limit on obtaining one. So for the existing legal non-conforming shops, someone could come in and obtain a new business license and tobacco retail permit, and they have within that 5-year period to continue operating, but they'd have to obtain a new one. And then for the existing businesses that sell tobacco, there is no limit on we don't have a cap on tobacco retail permits. Yeah.
Okay. I see a potential that maybe that discussion would happen down the road, but we don't need to go there today. And then is there a scenario, you mentioned like a use-based versus business retail use of tobacco, like the lounges, the smoke lounges and the hookah lounge. For those, are they also subject to if they're selling any product? Because they are going to sell product, right? But they're not going to display it. I mean, if you're a cigar lounge, you're going to sell cigars. Are you able to also sell, you know, do you have a whole wall full of cigars? Like, is there a limit to that? Are they kind of, is there a workaround that we're creating if you're a smoke lounge?
And then you have vape pens.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something we considered. So in the draft ordinance, it refers to the labor code definition for smokers lounge. I don't have it in front of me, but when I recall when I read it, it seemed like it was pretty clearly it's separate use from just tobacco retailer.
Mm-hmm.
That said, we could take one more look at that and see if it needs to be tightened up or clarified prior to bringing back the ordinance. But that's a concern that I shared also going into this, is that somebody may come in and say they're doing a smoker's lounge when actually it's a smoke shop, which is different.
Right, like part of it is the smoking lounge, and then another section may be selling, you know, a lot more product. Maybe 30% of their space is selling product, but
yes,
you can smoke it there too.
And that's why it references that labor code definition. But we could take another look at that one more time just to make sure there is no loophole there.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I remember looking at that smoker's lounge code, which is why I brought up the hookah lounge, because it didn't quite fit into that.
Right.
But I don't remember the specifics.
Yeah. Those are my questions for now. Thank
If
you.
I could add one thing, Councilmember, I did recall something we discussed in August. The definition of flavored tobacco product is something that California has defined, and they include flavor enhancers in their definition, which are the synthetic products.
Okay.
So I think that's why we landed on that. In our ordinance, the draft we've got is flavored tobacco products or other products prohibited by law.
Okay.
So I think that's, we'll confirm. I know what you're after here. We want the more expansive definition. I think we've got it, but we'll confirm
Yeah, if you could
that.
just confirm that, because the goal is that we're not offering products that are really catered towards underage
Right.
or
I think,
younger
right.
smokers.
And the state clearly recognizes that these flavor enhancers are synthetic. They're not, and they even mentioned that even those that are not tobacco,
right,
of tobacco nature, or whatever phrase they're using here.
Great.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. And those products are banned by California law, and that's in there, and it's covered. So if it's banned, it's not allowed.
Exactly.
All right, perfect. And then to the point about revocation, I thought Councilmember Kaladerovich brought up an important point. and I spoke to the city attorney about this a little bit. The way Director Weiner it's drafted now is the revocation provision refers to conduct of the quote smoke shop operator. So if the quote smoke shop operator is in violation of any section, then the license could be revoked. And the question that came up was, well, is the smoke shop operator like an individual? And should that instead be in the event that the smoke shop is in violation, the license should be revoked. The distinction being, smoke shop operator may not even be there, but the employees in the shop itself may be in violation. And so for the city attorney, I don't know if that's something you wanted to address now, or Director Weiner, go ahead.
Yeah, I think either would work. I think by just stating smoke shop, then it kind of broadens it where it's not only limited to the business operator. Okay. So I would think that striking that.
And if we can research, if it makes sense to elaborate on that too, smoke shop or, owners and its agents or whatever we need to do to make sure pertains to whatever employee of the shop is acting in this regard.
Okay. And I didn't have all the definitions in front of me. They weren't in the agenda packet. So I don't have that completely ironed out. So my apologies for that. Okay, Councilmember Obaji.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So first, thank you, Councilmember Kalajerovich, for bringing up this whole item to begin with. And thank you, Director Weiner, for bringing it forward in the city attorney's office for bringing it up basically where we can pass it now. I think Councilmember Waller did bring up a good point. When you look at condition 6, it's just about signage, though, that minors may not enter the premises unless accompanied by a parent or legal guardian. But nothing in that condition actually speaks to a prohibition on allowing a minor to come in. So somebody can be in compliance and have signs on their shop, but say, hey, kids, want to come in for those flaming hot Cheetos and check out what we've got here? And then kids can come in and shop at the shop, and they wouldn't be in violation of this ordinance, right? Am I reading that correctly?
That's correct, unless Cheryl wants to correct me. There's no provision that outright prohibits minors from entering the smoke shop.
Okay, so why would we even put a sign that says that it's prohibited for a minor to enter the smoke shop unless we were going to implement a condition or a prohibition on minors entering the smoke shop and have recourse for a violation of that condition? So I'd favor putting some teeth to that and saying
minors shall not be allowed in without
or purchasing anything.
Smoke shop shall post clear signage stating that minors may not enter the premises unless accompanied, and smoke shops shall enforce that prohibition. Something like that.
Well, we've got positive identification required.
That's to purchase.
Down below for purchase.
It basically implies it without stating it, so I think we could find somewhere.
In our tobacco retailer sections, it basically says that you can't sell. Retailers shall post at each point of purchase a notice saying that selling tobacco products and devices to anyone under 21 years of age is illegal and subject to penalties. So
selling tobacco products.
Right, but not
correct.
So let's take the flaming hot Cheetos. Kids walk in, the whole clan of kids realize they can walk into the shop, and now this is their regular spot where they buy soda, Cheetos, you name it, on a regular basis. And now they're regular patrons of the smoke shop, and we've had this loophole in our ordinance, right?
Right. It's a good idea. My recollection of the discussion was that we couldn't ban them.
Yeah, I thought
we had the law doesn't allow us to ban them, otherwise we would.
My recollection is we had concerns about being able to enforce that and actually subject them to loss of license if that were not if they were to fail to prevent somebody from entering. I thought that was I thought that was an issue that we didn't feel comfortable adding.
I recall that as well, because when they're going to purchase the item, that's when it's the opportunity to verify ID. That would be more challenging as they're entering
so
the store.
can we put that prohibition in there?
So I think we have something in 6 that says smoke shops shall post clear signage saying that minors may not enter the premises unless accompanied by a parent or legal guardian.
I think Zane's point, though, is that if they enter, if they blow through the sign, what happens?
Right. Nothing's stopping
I
them.
think we determined it with that. I thought we felt like this was as far as we could take this particular restriction, but
surely we could impose a prohibition on selling anything to somebody under 18 years of age, right?
well, we have that down below.
Selling anything.
Selling anything.
Anything or just
Anything, or is it just tobacco products?
I think we did look at this.
I thought so.
It says
and
no sales may
we
be
asked
solicited
for
or
exactly
conducted.
that. And
That's my mind.
No, he's saying that
it
he
came
wants
down
to
to we
enforce
couldn't
it, not he
prohibit
wants to
the entry and purchase
I
of
thought we had that
flaming
very
Cheetos.
conversation. That's why I want to hear from Mark and Cheryl. I recall the same thing. Mayor Pro Tem Barrett just stated that we had this discussion, but we felt like there was a limit to how far we could restrict
Yeah, that's
that.
correct. I think in particular, with the enforceability of it and the challenges it would present to the shop operator in screening and verifying that people coming in the shop are adults, but
Even when they're checking out. Okay, I just wanted to flag it as a potential loophole that we could fill if it was possible to fill it. If we can't, we can't.
But it does seem like now that you've raised this, if it's not going to be, and that's something we can look into. There's also state law that overlaps with this too, and I'm not aware of what the state law as it pertains to that.
It's the minimum age for selling tobacco products is 21.
That's for selling,
Exemption.
Correct.
but not buying.
Or just entering the shop.
Hold on
right?
1 second.
But I'm thinking if we're,
Just at the point of sale, a point of sale check, your condition of CUP, nobody's checking out from your store unless they're 21 or older, or 18 even. That eliminates the teens from high school or
ID for
whatever.
anyone under 30, but it doesn't say.
Excuse me, gentlemen. All right.
We'll
Take a
look at this again. I mean, I think we understand the
Watch the
direction. If
video.
we can be more restrictive here, we'll be more restrictive in the proposed draft on the 18th. I just want to manage expectations. I feel like we pushed this as far as we could with the last conversation, but we'll take another look.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
That's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Anybody else like to speak or ask questions of staff before we open it up to public comment? Hearing none, seeing none. All right, we will open it up to public comment. Madam Clerk, any cards? No cards. Would anyone from the public like to come up and speak on this item? Please go ahead.
I'll be real quick. I got to go see the Lakers opening night. Steve Haig. Zane. Is there a reason why we need smoke shops in Redondo Beach? Maybe your constituents all want them? I don't think so. Is there a reason why we need cannabis resellers in Redondo Beach? Is it because your constituents want them? I've been to 2 meetings and some of this discussion, granted, thank you. I'm thanking you for what you do. It's mind-numbing. And at the end of the day, just like the dogs, you have the signs, you have the policies, you have the rules. Who in the world is going to enforce it? Sometimes a simple approach is wonderful. I've been running companies most of my life. I said, if you come to a meeting to schedule another meeting, you'll be short-lived here. If you come to a meeting with solutions, you may make more money and become promoted. So I ask you a simple question. You're going 16, I think it's 15 now, because the dive on Artesia is shut down. I could be wrong there. It's closed next to the dive bar as you come across.
The Back Street Lounge?
Yeah, that one's gone. So I think it's 15. But what is Redondo Beach? You enter our city. Here's a smoke shop. Here's a dive bar. Here's the massage place. Here's the, God bless them, Goodwill. What are we as a community? What are we as a city? Because I'll tell you, when you enter, rolling down, I live there, and it's terrible. It's dirty. It's, some of the landlords they got to be disgusting people, because you don't keep businesses like some of those are kept. They're falling apart. So please don't let our city fall apart. Walk, ride your bike, something versus driving a car. When you hit those areas, just as an example, things surrounding palm trees. Folks, they're up to this high now. You want trip and fall hazards and more lawsuits? Don't take care of stuff like that. That's just my opinion. But I'd say ask your constituents, do you guys want smoke shops in Redondo Beach? Anybody say the majority is going to say yes? Or do you want cannabis? At the end of the day, if we're not going to enforce them, we're going to go down to beach life and smoke pot and do all the other things. We all know, you know the signs. It says massage, really? Next to the dive bar, give me a break. Come on, seriously, folks. We got to get real. What is our community? What is our city? And I don't hold things back. I'll tell you like it is, and I like a simple approach. We shouldn't have a smoke shop. You're going 16 to 5, make it 0. You shouldn't have a cannabis retailer. I gotta go.
Thank you. Anybody else care to address the council on this agenda item?
Thank you, council. Good evening again. Yes.
Could you state your name for Madam Clerk?
Jim Mueller, District 5.
Thank you.
As you well know, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I live in the neighborhood of Artesia Boulevard, and it seemed to me like the city was running a permit printing press for all kinds of businesses without exercising any kind of judgment or planning or helping out that district. I hope that has changed. I want to commend the council for taking action on this item that never should have been necessary in the first place. And I want to say something about the hookah lounge. I sent to the various people, the council people, a description of what the hookah lounge really is. The hookah lounge is a place where people smoke stuff. And you can put anything you want into the hookah pot. You can put cannabis in there. You can put ordinary tobacco in there. You can put your own mix in there. But it is a smoke shop. And they may not sell the stuff in there, but people take their goods in there and they smoke it. It should be at least restricted to minors. And I would appreciate it if it were eliminated entirely. And we have some of the businesses like the ACAP says on Artesia Boulevard that are modern businesses that are suited to the modern retail environment. So again, I commend you on taking action on this because it was really needed, especially on Artesia Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else present in the council chambers who'd like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none. Anyone online?
Yes, we have Melissa DeCant.
Okay, please proceed.
Hi, good evening, council members and Mayor Pro Tem. Thanks for this opportunity. My name is Melissa DeShant. I'm a District 1 resident. I want to thank you for this ordinance. I'm the biggest fan of this work that you've been doing. This is one of the most important things to protect our youth health and safety, so I thank you and kudos. There's 5 points I want to make about this. And the first, I applaud all of the verbiage and the discussion around synthetic products, and I think it's really, really important that you specifically include synthetic tobacco or non-tobacco derived products, because when the FDA banned flavored tobacco in California, immediately, literally overnight, in some instances, companies started selling what they call synthetic or non-tobacco derived nicotine products, and they can be flavored or unflavored, and it's a regulatory loophole that big tobacco exploits. And there is no age limitation right now, We have one of our representatives drafting legislation on this, but it's a huge regulatory loophole, and so these kids can buy anything under that nomenclature. So I would really encourage you to include synthetic and then not just the flavored. The second thing is if you include synthetic verbiage, that will cover the products such as kratom, which is a synthetic opioid that is now available in vape form. It's sold as in energy drinks, and I don't know if you followed the headlines, but there were several deaths in LA County from this in the last couple of weeks, and it's a really dangerous product. There's a webinar being hosted on this tomorrow night for all of the high school parents. The second thing is regarding the buffer, I really want to encourage you to look at the elementary and middle school buffer. I gave a presentation last week, and one of my colleagues at Stanford gave a presentation on this. And the number one group of kids that are beginning vaping are 4th and 5th graders. So these are kids that see that. The third thing on the age restrictions, I think that's really important. And kudos to Councilmember Obaji, because what happens when kids go into these smoke shops is it normalizes all of these products for them. And I did not look at the whole ordinance, so I apologize if this is a misstep, but all of the psychedelic hemp products, because of legislation that the governor signed 2 weeks ago, he reversed his ban on those products, and they are now all legal in California. And right now they're legal in cannabis dispensaries, but that has already trickled into the smoke shops where they were being sold ubiquitously illegally. But you can find them. I found them in 3 smoke shops today. And so just be aware that they are now legal to be sold. My fourth point is with shortening the time, I'd love it if you could shorten the time on moving this down to 5. And in fact, LA County, the recommendations from the California Department of Public Health and the LA County Department of Public Health is 1 smoke shop for every 10,000 residents. So I think that the precedent has been set. And then the final thing I wanted to mention is that—
Thank you. Your time is up. Anybody else on public comment online?
No e-comments, and this is the last one.
Okay. All right. So what, you're looking for direction. You've received some with respect to making it clear that the cannabis retailers are not smoke shops, vice versa. Got that? Anything else?
Yeah, we will ensure that our definition of tobacco product is as expansive as it can be. I did another look. The SB 793 flavor tobacco product is defined under state law. It's very clear. That's any tobacco product or associated product. There's lots of expansion there. We'll confirm that, and then we'll look at whether or not we have the ability to regulate age inside the business.
Entry, yeah.
Okay. Skip that. Age purchasing from the business. Okay, you don't need to stand at the door and make sure somebody's carded when they go in. I mean, ideally that would be the case, but if I'm hearing that we're not able to do that, then at least when they're buying something, you can check, hey, ID, you need to be 18 or older, right? I can imagine we can legally do that.
You can check ID when you're purchasing. They have to be at least 21 years old.
Pardon me, right?
Tobacco products.
But not anything else.
Okay.
So one solution that you might want to consider, and I know this is something that Mark and I have not talked about, and I don't know how many of the businesses, 16 businesses now do this, but you might want to just prohibit the sale of anything else except for tobacco and tobacco products. So you can't have juice and you can't have candy and you can't have, chips, so that you're not luring in underage children who are not at least 18 years old, who are accompanied by a parent or a legal guardian. You can prohibit that. You can have that age restriction. So if that doesn't do it, if that doesn't alleviate the concerns that the council has, then you might think about prohibiting anything else, the sale of anything else.
Okay. Thanks for it.
Can I ask a clarifying question about that?
Okay.
If that were the case, would that be enforced before this 5-year term is up?
Yes, we could write it into the ordinance. So you could say any operating business,
Any operating smoke shop.
correct.
It'll just be prohibited on premises.
Right. So just 2 points to that. First one is the one raised by Councilmember Obaji, which is anyone entering the store can't buy any product if they're under 18. So you can't buy Cheetos was the example. So the question is that legal? Can we regulate and prohibit somebody from buying a non-tobacco product, a minor from buying a non-tobacco product at a smoke shop? Is that legal to even do, number one? And then number two, what does enforcement look like? And, realistically, is that something we're going to be able to enforce? And then the second part was the new item you raised, which is, can we prohibit smoke shops from selling anything other than what I'll generally refer to as tobacco products? And that it would seem prudent to look carefully at that, because if you remove a smoke shop's ability to sell energy drinks or Cheetos, water, are you essentially shutting down that shop to the extent a large portion or some important portion of the revenue is derived from that? And the last thing we want is an overreach that then implodes our entire ordinance. So, feel free to look at that, but, be cautious. And then the second part is the enforcement of that, maybe a little more straightforward, but nonetheless, can't sell bottled water at a smoke shop could get dicey. So that's, as I understand, the two issues that have been raised, and that will be looked at. Before we do that, any reaction from staff, city manager on those two?
I would say we'll look at that. I think you've laid out the triage fairly clearly, that those are the same concerns I had. Can we legally restrict sales for non-tobacco products to underage people? I think that was also part of our conversation in August, as I recall. But we'll look at that again to address Councilmember Obaji's concern. What I would strongly suggest is let's not let perfect be the enemy of great here, though. We always have the ability to update, modify, and morph this ordinance as we go forward. So if we, I don't think we want, I'll use another analogy, paralysis through over analysis here. Let's get something on the books here sooner rather than later. And if we got to do final tweaking later, we can do final tweaking.
We can do that later.
It's a lot easier once we're up and running.
Agree with that. This is a huge first step that Redondo sorely needs on this subject.
All right,
So
and I think the points raised by council just reflect the concerns and about the whole thing.
We will seek to make it as restrictive as we think legally defensible, and we will introduce that draft to you on the 18th with the notion that, hey, it may not be perfect at that point, but let's get it done, and we can come back shortly thereafter and make tweaks as we see fit.
All right, it sounds like a good idea. Councilmember Waller?
If I like the idea of restricting it like that, the one thing I think I probably would allow them to sell in addition to tobacco would be alcohol, because I do know of some of our smoke shops that are also liquor stores. And if we're restricting somebody to be over 21.
I venture to guess those are probably liquor stores that have a tobacco license retail permit as an ancillary use. I doubt they would, I don't think we have smoke shops by this definition that are also selling liquor.
I believe at least one in my district is a liquor store. I didn't know it was a smoke shop. I only knew it as a liquor store, and it was on the list of smoke shops. So I would want to make sure that we don't have somebody who is a dual use syntax type place, that, if we're going to say that liquor store and smoke shop can't sell Coke and Pepsi, if that's legal, I'm okay with that. But to say a smoke shop now can't sell alcohol and that's half of their sales, well, that could be
my guess is once, and we can talk offline about what that location is, but my guess is once this is enacted, that store is going to need to pick a lane to be around.
All right, anything else from council? something?
Based on the synthetic language, what with the comment we heard, do we think that it's strong enough, what we have? I'm good enough for now, at least?
We will confirm, we will absolutely research and confirm. I'm pretty sure that the state's definition has got synthetic covered, and we're referencing that. So, but we will absolutely confirm that.
Okay.
Motion to move forward with introduction and first reading of a final ordinance that conforms with what you've provided, as well as our discussion tonight, as best as possible.
Yeah.
Second.
Be able to do that?
We will. We'll be back on the 18th with our best effort for you.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Okay. All right. I believe that brings us to item O, city manager items.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a little bit of housekeeping, as I'd like to do with this item. No meeting next Tuesday night, as you all know, but we do have our ribbon cutting next Thursday at the North Branch Library for our Open Access Plus program, keyless entry to North Branch operations. Very exciting. Our pilot period is over. That's, I believe, at 11 or 11:30 next Thursday morning up at the North Branch. We will be back on November 4th. As I mentioned last week, there is no council meeting on November 11th. That is Veterans Day. That is a prescriptive federal holiday that night. So we will have two meetings in November, one on the 4th and one on the 18th. Items on the 4th for discussion: boat launch ramp, conceptual location approval for our grant application purpose. We also will have a discussion about a potential LCP amendment regarding our marina parking restrictions in the waterfront, what our current requirements are and possible adjustments to that for future development purposes. And we will likely have a very perfunctory consent calendar item associated to the Avenue H traditional street closure. A couple questions have been raised. Will we be back based on Torrance's response? We haven't heard anything formal from Torrance yet, but based on early indications, we suspect we will be business as usual this year rather than the proposed temporary permit program. We'll know definitively over the next week. That could potentially be a discussion item, but I suspect it will not be. I think it will be a consent calendar item per the usual. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, that brings us to item P, mayor and council items, and item Q, mayor and council referral to staff. So Councilmember Waller.
I would like to, find out if the council would be interested in bringing up for discussion, updating our city code to allow short-term rentals that will be hosted only outside of the coastal zone with specific limitations.
All right, so on that.
Yeah, if we're going to do it, my suggestion would be it's a generic discussion. Let us research kind of what we're hearing, what the impacts have been, kind of what compliance we're seeing. We would bring this back probably 4 to 6 months from now down the road, so we got a little time to really digest what's occurring here. And then we can at that point agendize an item that would be appropriate based on, I think, the general nature of the referral. There's some legal research we need to do on what our options are. As you know, we have a long-standing prohibition, predates the Coastal Act and the like. So we have a different framework than many coastal cities. So there's some things that we would want to look at there, but happy to have a generic discussion about it. I would ask that the council give us some flexibility, Joy and I in particular, on how we present that item and how we manage expectations associated with it.
Okay.
Sure. If you'd be willing to entertain a friendly amendment to the referral, if the city attorney would be willing, could we possibly have a discussion included in that on whether we can prosecute those violators of our short-term rental laws, or collect civilly our transient occupancy tax? Because my reading of the ordinance is that our ordinance is that they are liable for transient occupancy tax.
We can look into that, yes.
Okay, so 6 months out?
Yeah, all right, second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I should have asked any discussion from any other council members, but jump in next time, okay?
Mr. City Manager, will you get us...
All in favor, no objection.
Will you get us data on the enforcement action that we've taken, how much of that has been against private home rentals versus shared home rentals, please?
Or like hosted?
Right, hosted, yeah, yes, we will research that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Castle,
Nothing tonight.
Councilmember Kaladerovich.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in, the maintenance ordinance that was introduced for Artesia, is that coming back?
The signage standard, or the kind of maintenance standards?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in development. Yeah, Mark's working on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just
kind of
wanted
a.
to make sure it's still in the
Yep,
queue.
Yep, it's in the queue, kind of a
Interest.
He's got a lot on his plate, I'm
mid-burner
sure.
project, maybe back burner now with the housing stuff going on, but yeah, it's
It's okay, I just wanted to, it
It's
is
on the
still
burner.
there.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on the burner.
That's it, thank you.
It's on a burner.
Councilmember Obaji.
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, and I have nothing. Which brings us to,
Motion to adjourn?
yeah, so second. And just to make sure that it's completely what we need to do. Hold on. Okay, so there's a motion to adjourn. There's a second by me. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's no opposition. That's all for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.